Hey, we're back to do more class. We're going to be studying in the book of
I don't know. Luke.
the book of I don't know. No.
The book of I don't know.
We're in the book of Luke. And do you know what chapter we're in? Because I forgot. Chapter, I don't know. I think it's going to be chapter
16.
16. Yeah. Okay. So, say what? Okay. We are going to read in chapter 16 I think that this is a complicated part. I was talking about this with my wife. Like, this is a hard lesson to teach. Now, it's a parable. But it's one of the most complicated parables. And I think it's neat and interesting. I've been thinking a lot about it. So I'll give you, when we go through it, I'm going to tell you what I think about it. But here's a fun assignment. And this is something that you can do every time. When you get done with my class, you can take the pictures. And the point of the pictures isn't just, oh, look at how good of a drawer I am. Oh, aren't I just wonderful? That's not the point. That's not the point. The point of the picture is a way of learning the story. Not every one of you know how to write sentences to say, this is what happened in the story. But I think all of you can draw these pictures. And when you draw these pictures are telling the story. So when you're done, you can show your mom and dad your pictures and not just say, didn't I draw a really good picture of somebody feeding dog food to a pig? It's not dog food, but you know what I'm saying. And you could say, no, that's not someone feeding dog food to a pig. That is the story of, you remember?
Parable.
The parable. What parable is a guy feeding a pig? You guys know? Say it.
I don't know. Prodigal son.
He ran away from his father.
Yeah. And you immediately go, oh, I know the whole story. And you can tell the whole story. Well, that's something that you can do when you're done with our class and you have your pictures. You can tell the story to a brother or a sister or to a mom or to a dad or to a grandma or to a grandpa. If you know President Biden, you can tell President Biden. If you know Darth Vader from Star Wars, you could tell the Bible story to Darth Vader. Like, you have
Nobody knows Darth Vader.
Tell the story
I know Darth
to
Vader.
somebody else.
I am Darth Vader.
Today's parable, I think today's parable is hard. And so what I want you to do is, when we're done, tell this parable to your parents and tell them what we think it's going to mean, but also what do your parents think it means? Because it's a complicated one. And so I think that you might have fun talking with your parents about this one. Okay, it's Luke chapter 16. Let's turn this doo-wopper on. Here we are, and it's going to be just at the very bottom of this page, and then we'll move over to the next page. Okay, so he's been telling all these parables and all these things. All of chapter 15 was parables. He's going to tell one more here, and then he's going to do a little bit of sermon talking about it before a last parable. And he said also unto his disciples, there was a certain man which had a steward, and the same, or that steward, was accused unto him that he was wasting his goods. And he called unto him and said unto him, what is this I hear? Hold on. What is this that I hear? Let me get this all framed up. There we go. What is this I hear of thee? Render the account of thy stewardship, for thou canst be no longer steward. All right, we're going to just draw a little bit here. We got to get the story. Here is the master, and I'll give him kind of a beard like this.
Mm-hmm.
And how does that master feel about his steward? A steward is a head servant. How does that master feel about the head steward?
I was feeling good about him until he heard that he wasn't being a very good steward.
Yeah, he hears that this is this is the master and this is the steward. So he hears that he's not being a good steward, so he's angry. And he's saying, finish up your account because I'm going to fire you. How do you think this steward feels?
Sad.
Maybe scared, right? And he can put his hands over his head like, oh no, what am I going to do? Okay, so that's what's going on. Oh, I'll even put his hand on his hips like this. Oh, you know, when your mom's got her hands on her hips, you're in big trouble. Okay, so the master is saying to this steward, and steward just means head servant. He's like the boss of all the servants and boss of all, maybe like all the farm jobs and things. So he is firing this man. He says, finish up your work, render the account of your stewardship, for you can no longer be my steward. So now we're going to see, how does this steward with the S on his shirt, how does he respond? And the steward said within himself, what shall I do, seeing that my Lord taketh away my stewardship from me? I have not strength to dig, to beg, I am ashamed. All right, what are the two jobs that he thought of? The first job was what?
Digging.
I have not strength to dig. So that's like hard labor. I'm not strong enough to do hard labor. I'm going to draw a shovel. Have you ever had to use a shovel to like dig up a garden for somebody?
Yeah, I think so.
And like, is maybe when you're a kid, digging holes is fun, but is it easy work or is it hard work?
Hard work.
Hard work. And this steward, he's an old kind of lazy guy. I don't have the strength to do this, so he's going to put a big X through it. I can't do that job. All right, that's supposed to be big piles of dirt around a shovel, and I'm not very good at drawing that, so I'll just put brown. I can't do the digging job, and I'm too ashamed to do what? I'm too ashamed to do what?
Beg.
I'm ashamed to beg. He doesn't want to sit on the street corner and just hold out his hand saying, please give me money. Does that make sense? He doesn't want to just put some coins in his hand. I'm too ashamed to beg. So, is this a very good guy? He's not willing to work hard, but he's also not willing to ask for money. So,
No.
and why is he getting fired?
Because he's not doing the work.
Yeah, so this steward is getting fired because he's been cheating his boss. Now that he's fired, he says, I can't work hard, and I'm too proud to sit around begging. What does he expect?
Learn to sew clothes.
Something, right? Remember the last story about the guy who was feeding the pigs food and he wished he could eat the food? What did he get to go do? What did the story of the prodigal son, what did he do when he was wanting to eat the pig food?
Go home.
He went home. He apologized and he went home. Does it sound like this steward is going to do that?
I don't think so.
No. I don't even want to work hard. I don't want to beg. Also, like, what if you just apologize? He's not even going to do apologies either. Okay, so let's see what it is. I have not strength to dig, and I'm to beg, I am ashamed. I am resolved what to do, that when I am put out of the stewardship, when I'm fired, they may receive me into their houses. So he's hoping somebody else will let him into their house. And calling him to him each of his lord's debtors, he said to the first, how much do you owe unto my lord? And he said, 100 measures of oil. And he said to him, take your bond or take your receipt and write down quickly 50. And he said to another, how much owest thou? And he said, 100 measures of wheat. And he said unto him, take your bond and write 80 or 80. What did he tell the guys to do? I'm going to have 2 pieces of paper. And he says, how much do you owe? We're going to write the debt. The word debt is spelled funny. Do you know what does it mean to have a debt? If I am in debt to you and I owe you $100, what does that mean?
You owe.
Yeah, that means I need to pay you $100. Ugh. So what he does is this master that he's working for, people owed him some money. That happens. That's just kind of a normal thing in life. All right. How much? Okay, the first one is oil. All right, the debt is about oil. Do you think that's motor oil or olive oil?
Motor oil.
Ah, it'd be motor oil today. It's probably olive oil back then. How much do you owe? 100 measures of oil. So he owes him 100, right? And what does the steward say? Take your bond, sit down and quickly write it 50. Cross out the 100 and just make it 50. What? Is that right? No, it's not the right thing to do. Then he said to another, how much owest thou? And he says 100 measures of wheat. All right, so we can write down wheat. And he owes him 100. And he says unto him, take your bond and write 80. Cross out the 100 and just make it 80. What? Is that right?
Nope.
Okay, let's say you're at McDonald's and the guy at the cash register says, okay, that'll be $45.15. Tell you what, just give me 15 bucks. That would be kind of nice, wouldn't it? Is it right? No, it's not right. Would you kind of be like, are you sure? Just $15? Yeah, the boss doesn't care. Just pay whatever you want. Does the boss care?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh.
So what do you think about this steward? Is he a good man?
No.
No. He's getting fired because he's not doing a good job for his boss. He doesn't want to work. He doesn't want to beg. And then he starts changing everyone's debt. He changes all their bill. And he's making it easier. So here's the thing. If you were at McDonald's and the guy said, oh, I know it says $45.15, just pay $15. Would you like that guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. And oh, you got fired? Well, why don't you come over and have lunch at my house today? I'm sorry for you. Do you see how he's making friends?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
but here's the thing. Is he being good?
Mm-mm.
No. Now, I'm going to ask a careful question here. We already decided he's not being good. Is he being clever and smart?
Yes.
He is. That doesn't mean he's using cleverness and smartness for good. He's actually using it for evil, but he is being clever, isn't he?
I don't know.
He's being clever, but he's not being a good man. Is Jesus telling a weird parable?
Mm.
It's kind of weird. Jesus is talking about a cheater guy. All right. All right. Now, do you see what I'm saying? Like, this is a weird parable?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. How much do you owe? 100 measures of wheat. And he says unto him, take your bond and write it 80 or 80. And his Lord, his master, his Lord commended the unrighteous steward because he had done wisely. The master thought, well, this guy is clever. This guy is smart. Does he think that the man was good? No. But he thought that this guy was bad, but he also thought this guy was clever and smart. For the sons of this world are for their own generation wiser than the sons of light. And I say unto you, make yourself friends by means of mammon of unrighteousness, that when it shall fail, they may receive you into eternal tabernacles. Okay, so here is the end of the parable, and I think it's very confusing. I'm going to read it again, and I want us to think about it. The Lord commended the unrighteous steward because he had done wisely or cleverly. For the sons of this world are for their own generation wiser than the sons of light. And I say unto you, make yourselves friends by means of mammon of unrighteousness, that when it shall fail, they may receive you into eternal tabernacles. Okay, who are the sons of this world? And who are the sons of light? When Jesus says sons of this world and sons of light, who's he talking about?
It's talking about people who follow the world and people who follow the light.
Yep, that's exactly right. So if I'm going to write a son of this world, okay, and a son of the light, and so we'll draw this guy. He's standing on the world, right? The other guy is standing on the world, but you know what I mean? Like he's a part of this world. And what is this guy standing on? He's standing on the light. And that'd be like the light of God, right? I mean, technically he has to stand on the world. You know what I mean, on the earth. But okay. So the sons of this world and the sons of light, which ones are the holy ones?
The sons of light.
The sons of light. Which ones are the worldly or ugly ones?
The sons of earth.
Yep.
Of the world.
Yep. Right? That's the idea. And like, so, and the way we would often color them, just like in my symbols, I'll use like, the worldly people are wearing red and the holy people are wearing blue. That's the way I've used colors in the past. Okay. So he says that the sons of this world are wiser than the sons of light. Was this man wise and clever?
Yes.
Yeah, he was wise and clever. But should he be colored in blue or red?
Red.
Red.
Red. Yep. He's wise. He's clever. Is he using his wisdom and his cleverness for good?
Nope.
No.
And when you look at the world, do you see sons of the world that are wise in worldly wisdom and getting rich and getting smart and doing clever tricks?
Yes.
Yeah. And there's some of them, and Jesus is saying some of them are being even wiser than the sons of light. This is a really weird thing. Now listen to what he says here. And Jesus says, and I say unto you, make friends by means of mammon unrighteousness. Go ahead and make friends of money. I'll draw some dollar bills. Oh, it looks like they're flying. I'll give them wings. Make money friends so that when they fail, they'll receive you into eternal tabernacles. This is a weird idea. Does Jesus really want us to love money and make friends of money? I don't think so. This man he was bad. He didn't want to work. He didn't want to beg. He cheated people and he made friends of that money. Does that make sense? Oh, I've got little pink dots on there. I don't know how that happened. Oh, well. See the pink? Can you guys see the pink dots on my screen
Yeah.
next to the?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wonder how that
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
Oh, here's an eraser. I think I can erase them now. Whoop. Come on. Okay, maybe I can't. Who cares? Oh, well. Ah! I don't know how to undo. Oh my goodness. Let me see if I can erase. Okay, white. Oh no, white won't work. What? I just ruined it. Let me see. Let me see here. If I turn it back on, it's still there. I'm sure it's still there. Yep. Okay, there we go. Now it's off. Whew.
Okay, good.
Okay.
That's funny.
Jesus says, go ahead and make friends of money so that you can stay in their eternal tabernacles or tents. Let me ask you a question.
Be quiet. What?
Let me ask you a question. What kind of tent is money going to get you in eternity? If you make friends of money and you can stay in money's tent, how is that going to go?
Dad.
Mm-hmm. If you have a lot of money, will you be able to buy a really nice tent?
Yeah.
And if you make a lot of money, will you be able to buy a really comfortable sleeping bag to sleep in that tent?
Yeah.
Yep.
And if you make friends with rich people, maybe you'll get to visit their really nice tent.
Yeah.
Okay, so is it true that if you make friends with money, you're gonna have some nice tents and some nice times? Is that true?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's true.
What happens when the world burns?
Then all your money's gonna be gone. Then your tent and your sleeping bag.
They're gonna be
Yes.
dead.
Are you done?
How long can that tent last?
Oh my God. Yes, it is. Sorry.
I think that that's the point. I think that that's the point. I think this is a very hard parable to understand. Here is this man who's trying to be sneaky and trying to cheat, and he's doing a really good job cheating, and he's living in the world, and he's making friends with money, and he's going to be okay.
He's a sneaky steward.
He's a
Steward.
sneaky steward, and he's going to make his life kind of okay on earth. But how long does earth last?
None.
Yeah,
Well, not very long.
not very long. Should we be wise about money and tents?
Yes.
I mean, you need to make money, right? But where should we put all of our wisdom? Into how to stand on earth or how to stand in light?
How to stand in light.
Yeah. Jesus is saying these guys are working really hard to have a really good life here. Where should we be working really hard?
The path of
Heaven.
light.
Yeah. So, does that mean that we can be lazy about?
No.
Yeah, we got to be just as clever. We have to be just as wise. We have to be working just as hard to walk in the light as that sneaky evil steward was working hard. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I think that that's what this parable is saying. But I encourage you to check with your mom and dad because I think it's an interesting parable. All right. Now listen to what he says here. He that is faithful in a very little or in a little thing, he that is faithful in a very little thing is also faithful in much. And he that is unrighteous in a very little thing is unrighteous also in much. If you have not been faithful in unrighteous mammon, who will commit to your trust the true riches? And if you have not been faithful in that which is another, who will give you that which is your own? No servant can serve two masters, for he will either hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon. And the Pharisees, who were lovers of money, heard all these things and they scoffed at him. He's saying, you need to be faithful. You need to be, if you are faithful in a very little thing, then that means you're going to be faithful in a large thing. And if you aren't faithful in the little stuff that you have, who's going to give you the true things? You can't love God and mammon is an old word for like riches and things. So here's God way up in heaven. He's so high up. And then here is the flying dollar bill that we were drawing earlier and a bag of money. Can you love money and God at the same time?
No.
So there's going to be a line dividing the two. Can you have a job and make money and love God at the same time?
Yes.
Yeah. Because Jesus had some money, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, to buy stuff.
Is it evil to hold money in your hand?
No.
No.
Oh.
But it's the love. It's the love, right? And when Jesus told this parable about the sneaky steward who cheated people and got earthly treasures, but emphasized that's not the thing to focus on. We need to focus on being in the light, right? How did the Pharisees react? What word does it use? They whatted at him.
Ah.
They scoffed.
God.
I'm trying to draw them laughing with their,
What is that?
they've got their arms folded and they're laughing. And I don't know why I drew his ear so big, but he drew it. Huh.
What's that?
They're laughing. Ha! Ha ha. Jesus, you're talking about money in a dumb way. They're just scoffing. I don't know why I drew his ear bigger than his whole head. Let me fix his ear.
Wait.
There.
Too high.
His ear is too high.
Yeah, well, he's ear funny. There he is. He's laughing. See, here's the thing. When Jesus tells you something, let's say you're a lover of money. If you love money, okay. And Jesus says, you really shouldn't love money. Should you react like this? Ha!
No.
No.
No. Jesus could kill you in a split second.
He could.
Yep.
The neat thing is Jesus doesn't really do that, does he?
Glenna.
But he does want the people to think about it. He does want the people to think about it. Should you, when you hear Jesus say something you don't like, how should you react?
In love.
Yeah. Think about it. Like, oh, I really don't like that answer, but you're willing to think about it. Yes, Jubilee, you raise your hand.
You forgot the nose on the Pharisee.
Oh, I thought I put it on. So Jesus is telling us hard messages. Yeah, there's his nose. That was his there. Jesus is telling us hard messages, and we need to figure out how to listen even when we don't like it. Now listen to this last bit. And he said unto them, you are they that justify yourselves in the sight of men, but God knows your hearts. For that which is exalted among men is an abomination in the sight of God. The law and the prophets were until John. From that time the gospel of the kingdom is preached, and every man enters violently into it. But it is easier for heaven and earth to pass away than for one tittle of the law to fail. Everyone that puts away his wife and marries another commits adultery, and he that marries one that is put away from a husband commits adultery. All right, well, these are some big sermon ideas. Jesus is very serious. They just laughed at Jesus when he gave them a whole message about the right attitude about money and where our focus should be. And they just laughed at him. And they laughed at his message. And I don't think necessarily that Jesus is just angry, but he's going to be very serious about it. He says, I'll read it again. You are they which justify yourselves in the sight of man, but God knows your hearts. For that which is exalted among men is an abomination in the sight of God. All right, we're going to try to draw these things on the board. This is not easy.
We'll always have to erase that.
Next week's parable is an easy parable to talk about. Next week's going to be fun. This is a hard one to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's see. So we have, you are the kind of people who are justifying yourselves in the sight of men, but God knows your hearts. So let's draw like a Pharisee person. All right, Pharisee. And he's justifying himself. That means excusing himself or defending himself, right? Oh, it's actually a good thing because this Pharisee is justifying himself before who? In the sight of men. So we'll draw some men. All right. You are justifying yourselves in the sight of men, But who knows your hearts?
Jesus.
Yeah. Jesus, but in this message, he says God. All right, so I don't know. I always don't know how I should draw God. I want to be careful and not do it silly and not do it weird. I don't know.
What does he draw light shining out of his face?
Yeah. All right, so there's God. I have a hard time doing light on the whiteboard. I don't have a very good color for that. So who is this guy trying to convince? He's justifying himself before, who is he concerned with?
People.
People. So he is talking to people. You see, that's where he's concerned. That's who he's trying to make sure things are good. Does that make sense? What do you think? Is he doing things the right way?
No.
No. He's trying to talk to the people and make sure that he's good with the people instead of talking with God and making sure he's right with God. So remember the parable of that steward? Who was he trying to be on the good side with? Was he trying to get back to work for the master? Nope. He was trying to do money deals with the people. Remember that? I'll draw the fly. I don't know why I drew flying money earlier, but it's still kind of fun. I'll just keep doing that. He was doing money deals with these people rather than trying to get his job back with the man, or with the master, with God. So this is the wrong direction. And the way Jesus says this is, hold on. You are they that justify yourselves in the sight of men, but God knows your what?
Hearts.
Hearts. Okay, so we have to draw a heart on this guy. What kind of heart does he have?
A bad heart.
Bad heart. God knows it's a broken heart, right? So maybe he's trying to hide his heart from these people seeing it. So he'll put his hand over his belly like this, so that nobody can see his bad heart. But who can see his bad heart?
God.
God can see straight through it. So what does it matter? If he gets all these people to like him and to think he's a really good guy, and he's being really wise and really clever and making friends with money so that he can stay in their fancy tents, does it really matter?
No.
No.
No. This tent is the only tent that matters. Right?
Yeah.
Perhaps
Being
you
the tabernacle of God is the only tent that matters.
perhaps you ought to make it a house.
Yeah, well, sometimes it uses the word tabernacle even for that with God. So I went ahead and drew it as a tent. It could be like temple. Sometimes it's temple, the kingdom. Let's read this again. But God knows your hearts, for that which is exalted among men is an abomination in the sight of God. These people worship and love money. It's exalted in the sight of men. What does God think about it? He doesn't exalt money. He's being clever and tricky with the people that love money and have tents here on earth. Is that what God likes? No.
Mm-mm.
The law and the prophets were until John. From that time of the gospel, from that time, the gospel of the kingdom of God is preached, and every man enters violently into it. But it is easier for heaven and earth to pass away than from one tittle of the law to fail. These things, they're all going to burn up. But what will always remain?
Heaven and the heaven tent.
Yeah, the heaven and the heaven tent. And the one literal thing, he says, the law of the Lord. So I'm just going to draw like a big Bible. Maybe for Jesus, it would have been a scroll, right? The word of God, heaven and the heaven tent. This stuff is never going to go away. Right? It's going to stay around forever. So where should we focus, right?
On heaven, so we can stay forever instead of getting burnt up.
Right.
So instead of having money friends, we should look towards God.
Yeah. Yes, that's exactly right.
Instead of money friends, we have God friends.
Now, Jesus is going to say a law that so many people get angry about. And I think people back then got angry about it, and people today get angry about it. And maybe you've heard about this law. Look at this. Now, okay, before I say it, he's already talking about you guys are like this man, and you're focusing on the down here, and you're trying to make money friends, and you're trying to get intense down here. You're ignoring the law. You're ignoring God's tent. You're not trying to talk to God. God can see your heart, though. And I think Jesus knew their heart. He's about to give them a law that they know is true, but that they don't like. Look at this. Everyone that puts away his wife, what does it mean to put away a wife?
Divorce.
Divorce, right? Everyone that puts away his wife and marries another commits adultery. And he that marries one that is put away from a husband commits adultery. Have you guys heard the Bible talk about marriage and divorce before? Yeah? So here's the man, and here's the lady. There's her dress and his shirt. Oh, she needs a head. All right. So they're married, right? They're holding hands. So they're married. What if he sees another lady over here? Is he allowed to look at her and want to get married to her?
No.
Right, he's not allowed to. But in the in the law, Jesus is talking about it. If somebody takes this marriage and breaks it, and then chooses to marry another, he says, you're committing adultery. That's sin. Maybe I'll write it in red.
You're also breaking promises.
I know, right? It's sin. That's just wrong. Do you think this guy wants to hear that?
Yes. No.
I don't think he wants to. He's trying to be clever and get friends and have things on earth. I think this is the kind of guy, if he's trying to get money friends, he might say, well, that lady's prettier, and I think I'm just going to go marry her. That's this kind of broken heart. Right? What if another guy wants to marry her? Jesus says that that's sin because he was divorced. Now, there are some other instructions that Jesus gives in other parts of the Bible. In Matthew, he actually talks about that there is one situation where a person can get remarried after a divorce. Since this guy was cheating and going after this other lady, Jesus says that she could get remarried. But basically, the whole point here is Jesus is saying, Here's people trying to get earthly fun and earthly treasures and earthly good things. And if you're trying to be that way, you've got a ruined heart. And if you do it not just with money, but with people, and you break up a marriage and you break up these things, that's sin. Do you think this guy wanted to hear it?
No.
No. And who's he going to talk to? Is he going to talk to God about it? Or is he going to talk to his friends about it?
His
His friends. Who's he going to talk to? The wife that he should be with, or the wife that he wants to run after?
wife that he should.
Yeah. The people of this world try to be wise to do sin. Is that true? Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of depressing. What should we be wise about? How to do sin? We need to be wise about how to get in God's tabernacle, how to read God's word, how to be, if God looks into our hearts, that he sees that we don't have broken hearts. Does that make sense? This, guys, this is a hard part of Luke, I think. This is a very complicated parable. So check with your moms and dads, see what they think about it. I'd be happy to hear what they think. It's a weird parable, but you guys are really smart. And I think you've been listening and helping me out to understand it myself. I think that this is what Jesus is telling us. Good grief. Does Jesus want us to be clever and cheat our bosses?
Oh,
no.
No. He's saying people are going to be that way though, aren't they? What do we need to stand in instead? The light. The light. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to let you go. I think that this Bible class was 74 hours long. I'm sorry that it was so long, but it was just had a lot of neat ideas that I wanted to talk about. Lord willing, I will see you in a week, and we will do another parable. That's a lot of fun, and I will see you later. Bye, guys. Hooray! Where's my button? Where's my button? See you guys next week. Cool.